Just a few weeks ago, the winter of 2025-2026 looked mild and predictable. Classic La Niña, nothing dramatic. Meteorologists across the country were breathing a sigh of relief, expecting a season of gentle snowfalls and manageable cold. The Pacific Ocean's influence seemed to promise a winter that would be easy on both people and infrastructure, with no major storms on the horizon. It was the kind of forecast that made planners, city officials and families alike feel at ease, ready to enjoy the holidays without worry. But by mid-November, everything started to change. Our computer models, which had been so consistent, suddenly began flashing warning alerts. Something big was brewing, and it wasn't following the usual script. Meteorologists noticed strange patterns emerging, with cold air masses forming in places they shouldn't, and pressure systems behaving unpredictably. At first, we thought it was a glitch. After all, technology isn't perfect, and sometimes models can misfire. Teams double-checked the data, recalibrated the models, and even consulted with international colleagues to see if anyone else was seeing the same thing. But the signals kept coming, from every major model worldwide. It wasn't just a local anomaly, this was a global pattern, confirmed by experts from Europe, Asia, and North America. The consensus was clear. Something unprecedented was unfolding in the upper atmosphere. Suddenly the forecast flipped. Instead of a calm, ocean-driven winter, we were staring at a volatile, atmosphere-driven season. The models now showed a dramatic shift, with cold air surging southward and the potential for powerful storms increasing by the day. The culprit, not the Pacific, but the stratospheric polar vortex, 30 kilometers above us, ready to rewrite the script. This swirling mass of cold air, high above the surface, had suddenly weakened and split, sending frigid air plunging toward the continents below. This shift has meteorologists buzzing. We could be facing a much colder, harsher winter than anyone expected. Newsrooms are abuzz with urgent updates, and experts are warning that the coming months could bring record-breaking cold, intense snowstorms, and dangerous conditions for millions. The stratosphere is now in control, promising a season full of surprises. Unlike the steady influence of the Pacific, the stratosphere can unleash sudden, dramatic changes, meaning forecasts could shift rapidly, and communities will need to stay alert. Forget the gentle winter we expected. Prepare for a roaring start. Already early signs of blizzards and severe cold are appearing on the horizon, threatening to disrupt travel, power supplies, and daily life. Let's break down what's happening, why this sudden shift matters, and, most importantly, how you and your loved ones can get ready for what could be one of the most unpredictable winters in recent memory. You've probably heard the term polar vortex tossed around during news reports of extreme winter weather, or maybe you've seen it trending on social media when temperatures suddenly plummet. But what does it actually mean, and why does it matter so much for our winters? The phrase sounds dramatic, but the science behind it is even more fascinating. Let's break it down. Imagine a gigantic, invisible ring of icy air spinning high above the North Pole, like a colossal atmospheric top. This is the stratospheric polar vortex, a powerful circulation of cold, dense air that sits tens of thousands of feet above the ground, encircling the Arctic region. The polar vortex isn't just a single storm or a passing weather event. It's a semi-permanent feature of our planet's upper atmosphere, especially strong during the dark, frigid months of winter, when the sun barely rises above the Arctic horizon. When the vortex is strong and stable, it acts like a fortress, trapping the coldest air over the Arctic and keeping much of the northern hemisphere relatively mild. Cities far to the south can enjoy more temperate winters, shielded from the harshest Arctic blasts, but sometimes, this fortress weakens or even cracks open. When that happens, the guard fails, and frigid Arctic air escapes, surging southward into places that aren't used to such extreme cold. This is when we see those sudden, bone-chilling cold snaps that can disrupt daily life. The jet stream, which usually flows in a smooth, fast-moving path around the globe, starts to wobble and dip. These waves allow Arctic air to spill into Europe, Asia, and North America, bringing with it snowstorms, icy winds, and record-breaking low temperatures. It's important to remember, the polar vortex isn't a new storm system. It's the breakdown of the Arctic's atmospheric shield, a shift in the very patterns that control our weather. This winter, scientists are watching closely because the vortex isn't just weakening, it's showing signs of a dramatic disruption, which could mean more frequent and intense cold outbreaks for millions of people. That's why meteorologists are shifting their focus from the usual ocean patterns, like El Niño or La Niña, to what's happening high up in the stratosphere. The behavior of the polar vortex could be the key to predicting this winter's wildest weather. The real action is unfolding far above our heads, in a layer of the atmosphere most of us never see, but its effects will be felt on the ground, on our streets, in our homes, and in our daily routines. As the fate of the polar vortex hangs in the balance, it will shape not just the headlines, but the very nature of this winter for millions across the globe. Here's the paradox. Just as we brace for winter, a sudden stratospheric warming or SSW is about to trigger a deep freeze across vast regions. It sounds counterintuitive. Warmth high above our heads is actually the signal for some of the coldest air to descend upon us. But this is one of the atmosphere's most dramatic tricks, and it all starts miles above the ground, in the stratosphere. When powerful atmospheric waves surge upward from the lower atmosphere, they crash into the stratosphere, rapidly heating the air, sometimes by an astonishing 50 degrees in just a few days. This sudden burst of warmth is not gentle. It's a jolt that disrupts the delicate balance of the polar vortex, the swirling band of cold air that usually circles the Arctic. Instead of reinforcing the vortex, this warming acts like a hammer, shattering its structure. Imagine the polar vortex as a tightly sealed refrigerator door. When the stratosphere heats up, that door is flung wide open, and the icy Arctic air is free to escape. This warming doesn't strengthen the vortex, it shatters it, flinging open the refrigerator door and releasing Arctic air. The cold, once locked away, now spills southward, setting the stage for dramatic weather changes. The disruption doesn't stop in the stratosphere. It travels downward, warping the jet stream, the high-altitude river of air that steers our weather. The jet stream becomes wavy and unstable, opening the floodgates for cold Arctic air to surge much farther south than usual. The result? Arctic air plunges deep into North America, Europe, and Asia, bringing severe cold snaps, heavy snowfall, and icy conditions to places that might otherwise be enjoying milder weather. This year, meteorologists are sounding the alarm. The SSW is predicted for late November, shockingly early compared to most years. This means winter could arrive with a vengeance, weeks ahead of schedule. The polar vortex is being hit before it's even fully formed, setting up a prolonged period of instability in our weather patterns. The atmosphere is primed for surprises, and the cold could linger far longer than usual. It's a chain reaction, sudden warming high above, the polar vortex splitting apart, and a cascade of cold air tumbling down to ground level, unleashing snowstorms and deep freezes. This early SSW could mean a longer, harsher winter than we've seen in years. Communities may face extended periods of snow and ice, and the impacts could ripple through everything from travel to energy demand. The stage is set for a memorable season, one where the warmth above brings a deep, unforgettable chill below. As we watch the skies, we're reminded that in the world of weather, the most surprising stories often begin where we least expect them. Early SSW events are rare. Most happen in January or February, not November. When models first showed a November SSW, many meteorologists thought it was an error. But the data held, pointing to a potentially historic event. Only a couple of winters, like 1958 and 1968, have seen such early, powerful disruptions. Those years brought record cold and snow, remembered for decades. An early SSW hits the vortex before it's strong, causing chaos and prolonged instability. This isn't just another cold snap, it's a once-in-a-generation pattern shift. The forecast has moved from predictable to wildly unstable. History tells us to take this seriously. These setups have delivered some of the harshest winters on record. Mother Nature is playing her wild card. You might ask, isn't it a La Niña winter? Shouldn't that help? Normally, a strong La Niña acts as a shield, keeping Arctic air at bay, but this year's La Niña is weak, barely there and fading fast. Instead of a solid defense, we have a flimsy barrier. When the polar vortex collapses, there's nothing to stop Arctic air from surging south. The ocean's influence is overshadowed by the stratosphere's drama. This winter, the atmosphere is in charge, not the Pacific. The weak La Niña is a bystander. Our focus must stay on the stratosphere. When the polar vortex splits, it creates two daughter vortices, one over Eurasia, one over North America. These fragments become engines of cold, each fueling severe winter for their regions. Blocking highs like the Greenland High lock weather patterns in place. Channeling Siberian air into Europe, the infamous beast from the east. In North America, the jet stream dives south, letting Arctic air reach deep into the US. This setup is perfect for nor'easters, major snowstorms where cold meets Atlantic moisture. The split isn't brief, it can lock in cold for weeks, not days. Two continents, two versions of Arctic outbreaks, this is stratospheric chaos in action. The impacts will be widespread and persistent. The early SSW means winter's worst will hit fast. December and January will be the coldest, most disruptive months. Expect a front-loaded season, severe cold, major snow, and high energy demand right during the holidays. Travel could be chaotic, with snowstorms and freezing temps causing delays and cancellations. Prepare now. Check heating. Plan for higher bills, and build extra time into travel. The psychological toll of a long, dark, bitter start is real. Be ready mentally as well as physically. The harshest weather may come before winter even officially begins. Understanding this timing helps us brace for what's ahead. After a brutal, blocking-driven cold, the atmosphere can snap back, fast. This swing effect means a rapid shift from deep freeze to sudden thaw, sometimes in just weeks. Blocking highs break down, milder Atlantic air surges in, and temperatures can swing from record cold to unseasonable warmth. February or March could look very different from December and January. This seesaw pattern brings its own risks, like flooding from rapid snowmelt. The only certainty this winter will be a roller coaster, not a straight line. Prepare for both extremes. So, what should you do? Be prepared, not scared. Now's the time to check your heating, insulate your home, and get your winter gear ready. Prep your car with winter tires and an emergency kit. Look out for neighbors, especially the vulnerable. Community spirit matters most in tough winters. A little preparation now makes a big difference when the cold hits. And don't forget to enjoy the beauty. Snowy mornings, hot drinks, and winter fun. By getting ready, you can handle the challenges and embrace the magic. Stay warm, stay safe, and keep an eye on the sky. This winter will be one to remember.